Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So today, checks are going out to certain beneficiaries of Social Security. These checks are going to be worth all the way up to $1,415. We're going to be going over who is going to be eligible to receive these payments. Plus, one congressman absolutely lashes out on Joe Biden and his false statements about Social Security and how they can fix it. We'll be covering that as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link, is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock, it's just sell for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our first story of today's video, like I just mentioned, there are going to be checks going out today worth all the way up to $1,415. We're going to be covering who these checks are going to be going out to, how much you can expect, and everything like that. So according to AS, when do July Social Security checks arrive? Complete schedule payments of $1,900. So each month, the Social Security Administration distributes millions of payments to beneficiaries of the program it oversees. Among them are retirees, their survivors, and people with disabilities who receive the Supplemental Security Income or Social Security Disability Insurance. These payments, for the most part, are issued based on recipients' date of birth. So, for example, beneficiaries born between the 1st and 10th of any given month, they receive their payment on the second Wednesday of the month. And then beneficiaries born between the 11th and 20th of any given month, those payments, they're going to receive their payments on the third Wednesday of each month. And then finally, those born on the 21st or later are going to receive their payments on the fourth Wednesday of each month. So it'll be the fourth Wednesday of course, July, on July 24th. So taking all this into account, of course, Monday, July 1st, SSI beneficiaries are going to be receiving their payment. And you can see up there on the screen, in 2024, individuals' max payment for their SSI is going to be $943, whereas couples, their max payment is going to be all the way up to $1,415. So once again, if you receive SSI benefits, you should expect your check to arrive in your bank account or wherever you receive your payment today. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Now, of course, in some other news, recently we had that debate between Joe Biden and Trump. If you could even call it a debate, it was just, pretty much one-sided completely. Everyone agreed with it. Democrats did not like Biden's performance. Now they want to replace Biden. We'll have to see what ends up happening with that. But of course, we had a congressman absolutely lashing out on Joe Biden and his false statements about Social Security and saving the program. Let's go ahead and roll the clip.
So, like last night's debate, there were a couple moments where I had to shut the television off because I'm bouncing off the ceiling saying, that's my president. And like what he said about Social Security, if we tax rich people by like 1% or so, we're fine. I've done presentation after presentation after presentation here with 5 PhD economists showing, hey, raise the cap for everyone over $400,000, you cover about 38% of the shortfall. Mr. President, learn your math, because when you say that in front of a national audience, you steal away the seriousness of how do we have a discussion, a debate, a mechanism to actually fix a real problem, because now you have millions and millions and millions and millions of people. Well, the president said it, it must be true. You make our job so hard trying to make a calculator do its job, because at some point the math is going to win, your feelings are not. So let's actually start to do some basic education of what's in the Joint Economic Report. I'm going to walk through the scale that has moved against us, some of the things in the report that we find very, very concerning, and then we're going to walk through some of our solutions. And the point we've made over and over and over and over and over is the left's tax policy. Hey, we're going to tax people over 400,000. We're going to maximize their income tax, their estate tax, their capital gains tax, all these things. You can only get about 1.5% of the GDP of the economy. For those on the conservative side, we want to cut, but if you limit your cuts to only non-defense discretionary, you can only get about 1% of GDP. Add those two together. Every tax, every cut. You got 2.5% of GDP. This year we're borrowing, what, 8, almost 9% of GDP. Does anyone see a math problem? It turns out what's great rhetoric, great campaign slogans is crap math. So let's do some real math. First off, for all my brothers and sisters who, and if you're upset, if you're watching at home and the room's empty, that's because we're on 1,000 televisions around the campus. And part of this presentation is not only to members of Congress, but it's to their staff. Because often the staff are the ones who are young, we're talking about their future, and maybe they'll help their members understand actual math. We are now at 74% of all U.S. spending. 74% is now on autopilot. Meaning 74% is mandatory spending. So the next time you have someone from the political class saying, you know, if we just get rid of foreign aid, we'll be fine, will you point out to them you just covered maybe a week and a half of borrowing? You know, if you're burning through $8 to $9 billion a day, you got to understand, stop lying to the voters. Stop making crap up, because at some point, the bond market will be the ones in charge of this country. When you're borrowing $80,000 to $100,000 a second every day, when you have to bring almost $10 trillion to market this year, both in Virgin and refinance, when the bond market gets cranky, it gets really expensive for us. So here's a point on this chart. 74% is in mandatory spending. You, Madam Speaker, and I don't get to vote on any of that. We've done it as a formula. Every dime a member of Congress now votes on is borrowed, and actually a sliver of Medicare. A sliver of even the mandatory now has to be borrowed money. So when you go home and we talk to our constituents, well, balance the budget. Okay, if I get rid of every dime of defense, we still have to borrow. If we get rid of every dime of non-defense discretionary, that's the State Department, that's the Park Service, that's the FBI, all those. You just get rid of all of government and no military. Well, those add up to, okay, you got 900 and 800. So 1.8, let's just make the math simple. We're going to borrow 2.3, maybe 2.5 trillion this year. So now come to me and tell me, find me the $500 billion in Medicare or other mandatory spending you want gone. So the next time you have someone say, just balance the budget. That's not how the math works. Every dime a member of Congress votes on today is borrowed, and a big sliver of mandatory spending now is on borrowed money. It's math. The math will win, but this place is unwilling to bathe in the facts. So let's actually walk through the part here, and we updated the chart. I don't know about the colors. This number actually got slightly better. I think there's a mistake in it, because it's basically calculated that there's no recessions, no wars, no pandemics, nothing else in here. But from today through the next 30 years, the CBO update from last week basically says, hey, over the 30 years, you're going to borrow about $115, $116 trillion. 100% of the borrowing over that 30 years is demographics. How many times do you hear anyone around here say that? It's healthcare, almost all Medicare, and a decade from now when the Social Security Trust Fund is gone, do we just borrow use general fund receipts to make up that shortfall, or will this place have the guts and a president who starts making crap up and gives us the opportunity to have a Republican, Democrat White House and maybe some actual econometricians and people that actually have calculators come up with a solution to actually fix it?
So what an absolute mess this country is currently in. And until we actually get leaders in Washington who actually want to help out the American people and make our lives better, I can't really see this problem getting fixed or them actually coming up with a realistic way to save the Social Security solvency issue. But leave your thoughts and comments below. Do you trust the people in Washington to seek out ways to actually make our lives better and actually try to fix issues like Social Security? Leave your thoughts and comments below. We'd definitely love to read them. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.